This is the Obvious Podcast, episode 30. My name is Sonny, and I am the, you know what, you know who I am. It's the 30th episode. Peter, we've been at this long enough. I'm not going to say my title.
No?
If you don't know, if they want to know my title, they can look at 29 other episodes and they'll see it.
Okay.
Right?
Sounds good. I'll follow your lead.
There you go.
Good to see everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So,
The Obvious Podcast is a production of ABC FEC. Unless otherwise stated, all content reflects the opinions of the guest and the host. That we have to say.
and if you like the Obvious Podcast, you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms or watch the audio-visual version on YouTube. You can also follow the Obvious Podcast on Instagram, X, and Truth Social. You can always reach out to us via email at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. Links to all the social media feeds are in the episode show notes. And if you want to help others find the podcast, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice.
All right, Peter, congratulations. Episode 30. We've come a long way, right?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe it's been 30 episodes.
Congratulations to you. You're usually the charge you with coming up with the content and kind of the theme each week. So, and it's working out, I think. So far.
And of course we're the talent, but there's a great crew behind the scenes as well that does a great job in putting this out there and making sure our audience is enlightened and entertained weekly.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So we have a saying at the Obvious. What happens in Vegas gets talked about at the Obvious, right?
Right, at least recently. So,
Yes.
Right? ABC National held its annual convention out in Las Vegas. We stayed at the Mandalay Bay and the convention center there. Very nice property. Although, man, it was a haul from your rooms all the way to where the convention meetings and other activities were at. So, an amazingly huge facility or complex. So,
And I felt bad for TJ Long, our government affairs director, who has fractured her foot and was making that 1.5-mile hop in her big old boot. So TJ, you have our empathy.
yeah,
Sympathy. I don't
absolutely.
know. One of those two.
She was a trooper.
She was a trooper.
So, those that aren't aware, the ABC's annual convention is quite a convention to attend, and I would encourage everyone, if you've never been, I don't have to ask you to go again if you have been, because I think the lasting experience and memories and takeaways are enough to probably get most people to come back. But if you've never gone, so most ABC national meetings, Sonny, we have 3 national board meetings a year. We have national committee meetings. And then, of course, the executive committee of the organization meets. So anytime we have one of our 3 national meetings, so we have our annual convention, usually in March. In this case, it was late February, somewhere around that time period. We have our annual Washington, D.C. Legislative Conference, which is in June, usually mid-June. And then at the end of the year, we have our leadership, what we call our Leadership Institute. So at all 3 of those, you have executive committee meeting, then national committees meeting. And we have a number of members, by the way, that serve on a national committee. I'm going to try to list them here. Help me out so I don't leave anybody out. We have Annie Macias Murphy, who serves on the membership committee.
Go Annie.
National Membership Committee. Dave Aiken serves on the National Legislative or Government Affairs Committee.
Our oldest board member.
That's right.
I mean, he's old, but he's the longest serving board member. The dean of our board. Yes.
Yep. Who am I forgetting? I serve as the president's liaison on the ABC Insurance Trust. We have all those people that have to go a little bit early to these meetings to attend national committee meetings. And then we have our national board meeting 3 times a year. So the way we designate national board members is always the immediate past, the current, and the chair-elect of the chapter. So they always represent us on the ABC National Board. The National Board, like the chapter board, decides things like annual dues. The national portion of dues is one of their annual responsibilities, as well as policy and procedures and whatnot. So for the organization. So, but then again, the most memorable, the reason why I really would invite people to go to this is at our annual convention in March, February and March, we have 2 of the most moving things that ABC does. So one is what we call our craft championship. I believe years ago we We might have called it the Craft Olympics, but I think we got a cease and desist letter or something like that. So anyway, you get the concept. We call it the Craft Championship, where trade professionals are in National Craft Championship, where trade professionals from around the country, various apprenticeship program sponsors at ABC chapters, compete on a national level. So we had 4 competitors this year from our ABC Institute program. We had 2 electricians, 1 plumber, and 1 fire sprinkler fitter. So that competed. So first off, it's
So I'm just curious if you can share with our audience how, and if you're watching this, we're going to play a little clip of kind of what we're talking about so you'll get a great idea. When you say they're competing in a craft championship, and let's say you're a plumber, what does that mean? Like, what are you?
Yeah, great question.
What are you doing?
Sure. Well, first off, they're identified by our instructors and whatnot, and they're usually, in their last year of the apprenticeship program. And what they're doing is they're given an assembly or a blueprint, if you will, of an assembly, whether it's plumbing or fire sprinkler fitter or electrical or whatnot. There is a written exam that they take online before they leave for the venue, the competition, in this case in Vegas. And then when they show up, they're actually on the floor of the convention center. And again, this is multiple trades, with, in some cases, I don't know, close to approaching 100 maybe in the electrical competitors.
Yeah.
A little bit less than that. Competing together during a set period.
It's a timed
6
exercise.
hours or something like that, where they're given all the parts, on a platform to put it together, and they're graded and assessed on, the safety and the effectiveness of their work. And, if it's fire sprinkler, they put it under pressure to see if there's any leaks. And, so they're competing, and again, a 2-part practical part of the exam, which is the exciting part to see and to go out and to observe. So in any event, it's moving. It's quite a sight to see the volume of people competing.
How young they are.
How young. It's inspiring for that reason.
Yeah.
ABC National does a great job in the award ceremony and recognizing the fact that these are some of the best in our industry. And so in any event, it's very moving, and I would encourage anybody to go out. And the thing is, this happens towards the end. I mentioned, there's a whole host of activities at these 3 meetings a year, from executive committee meetings to national committee meetings to board meetings. They're usually held in sequence. So you really need to stick around. You really need to stay towards the end of the convention, the conference, to actually catch the competition and the award ceremonies and whatnot. So that's one. We also hold annually at that meeting our construction management competition. So these are schools around the country that have construction management programs and student chapters. There
35 universities this year?
We had 35 compete, 35 different universities.
All around the country.
Our chapter happens to have 2 student chapters. We had 1 compete this year, and the other one is relatively new. So they went this year to see what the competition was like, and they anticipate competing next year. And that's the Florida Institute of Technology up in Brevard County. And then the one student chapter and team that competes almost every year since their existence is the FIU chapter,
Florida
International University. So they traditionally have done very well, in terms of competing at this competition. So National had announced that I think the construction management competition had more students competing this year for the first time. And I think this is our 36th year. And doing the competitions or the craft competition. So the construction management students outnumbered the trade students for the first time in our history. So,
wow.
So yeah, there were 35 schools, and each team is anywhere from 4 to 8. There's 4 competitors, four on the competition team, and they can bring up to 4 alternates, I think, and a lot of them do.
So they all work on they're given the setup of one project. They all work on the same project, right? And
right.
then they're judged on different aspects, whether it's estimation or safety or
correct.
Blah 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 blah.
And it's always an actual project an ABC member built, which is really cool because the judges know exactly what the pitfalls and the problems and the issues that had to be worked around and what the true cost of the project was. So it's not a make-believe project. It's a true world project that's already been built and completed. And all 35 teams, whoever registers, is given in the fall the initial documents for the project, and they have to come up with their their estimate and their safety plan and their project management plan and timeline and all the kind of things that everybody listening to this podcast knows very well. And then they go out to the competition, and they're generally usually handed some kind of a change order, which they have to assess on the fly during the competition. And then anywhere, a short list is selected to give actual presentations to the judges as owner reps or as owners. So this year, I think they had 11 shortlisted teams out of the 35. So, and then you can go and actually watch their presentations. So
That's
this is
pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's like, again, make you very proud
Yeah.
of the industry, ABC's role in developing the workforce of the future. This kind of experience is going to be something they'll never, aside from real world experience, that they'll ever going to achieve or experience. So anyway, I invite anybody who's never gone to this national meeting to look for it every year.
One of my favorite things about these events was when the competitors walked into the room, this massive conference room, and the reception that they received. It was like rock stars walking in.
Absolutely.
And I happened to be standing next to Mr. Producer, and he made a comment about the faces of the students and how it was a combination of pride and surprise and how they were lit up at the welcome that they had received. For our audience to really understand what an impact this makes on young people who are in college and looking at construction as their career and are trying to, and perhaps haven't really fully grasped what that entails or what that means, but now kind of see it in a whole different light and a whole different perspective. And I find that very, very fascinating and interesting.
Think about what a great marketing especially for the trade competitors. They all work for a company. For these companies to recognize that one of my employees was the best of the best and actually competed on this national level. So it's difficult to win when you have 80 or 100 people competing in one trade.
And they're all very good.
They're all very good. They're the best of the best. But the fact that you had an employee, compete is just in and of itself for the smart companies, I think a marketing, gem.
Yeah, we had a member who the employer wanted to support his employee and actually went to Vegas.
Went to the conference.
Sat
right next to him, cheering him on, so to speak.
And was blown away. I had many conversations with the employer, and he was blown away by the whole experience. He said, I had no idea how incredible this was.
That basically is our motivation for encouraging you all to sign up.
Yeah.
Because I know you're going to walk away just really blown away with a new perspective on ABC and your membership and what it helps support. So,
and anyway. I do want to share this with you. When I was watching, you and I were sitting in front of the ladies and gentlemen from the plumbing competition as they're kind of putting these pipes together, and they're kind of working on sort of the internal pipes and the external pipes, and they're following their directions. We have always talked about apprenticeship as, ABC Institute is the largest provider of apprenticeship education in the state of Florida. We educate a ton of people, upskill a ton of people. And so we talk about how life-changing that is for the students. But it just occurred to me how civilizationally important these skills are. And I remember saying to you, imagine what would happen to society if these skills just died and went away, if they didn't go from one generation to another.
You can't really overstate the impact
Yeah.
that would have.
Yeah.
The way our society, and it's unfortunate, we really do, I think, look down much more than we should on more blue-collar
Yeah.
Jobs and occupations. But, these people are keeping the electricity flowing and the water flowing and the sewage flowing.
The literal roof over your head, yeah.
And the roof over your head. Mm-hmm. And boy, if these skills disappear, our society.
So we can't move forward.
Yeah. So we are proud of them at ABC, and I'm glad. I've gone to a lot of these over my years, and I'm glad you, as maybe your second one, that you pick up obviously on how respected these competitors are. So anyway, we invite you to sign up next year. We hope to see a lot more members there. And the important thing is stay till the end.
Yes.
A lot of the award ceremonies and whatnot are more towards the end of the conference. Obviously, you don't know who won the competitions until it's over. So go into those ceremonies is very moving. So
It is, and I do want to give a shout out. There's a whole segment to the conference that's very sort of brawny, right? You're working on projects, you're fixing things. That's part of the competition. There's the meetings, the executive function that has to occur, but then there's the cerebral function too. And I'm talking about the great presentation by the ABC chief economist, Anirban Basu, BASU, out of Maryland, who did a phenomenal job presenting data, doing some forecasting, talking about the sort of the macro impact, the micro impact of of COVID, and sort of where we are, where we're headed. All the while being extremely entertaining. He used Denzel Washington movies as a template for his presentation. That's something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And was
phenomenal too. You notice it's all impromptu.
It's all
right?
impromptu.
I mean, his
Yeah,
presentation.
he had no notes. He had
No
nothing.
notes. Yeah, spectacular. He does a great job. And of course, there's lots of breakout sessions and things that will provide you value as a member company. In terms of the workplace. So you're going to get a lot out of this ABC National Convention. So one of the things they do there, Sonny, is recognize chapters.
Yes, they do.
For various achievements during the previous year. And I don't know that I saw any ABC chapter nationally receive as many accolades, credentials, or achievements as the ABC Florida East Coast chapter. So
No, I agree.
during an award ceremony there, we were recognized for 5 very distinguished achievements last year. One was reaching our membership goal. One was actually reaching growth as a member organization. And then the contractor percentage of our membership, we received an award for exceptional contractor percentage as well. On an even higher level, we were recognized for achieving the very highest chapter accreditation that we could last year.
I'm very proud of that because I worked on that.
And yes, I was more than delighted to turn over the assembly of all the documentation to you. And it's quite a feat, and everything that is expected in order to achieve that highest level accreditation. And then we received probably the highest award in the ABC Association world, which is the Charles Mullen Award, which is the largest increase in percentage-wise in dues paid to ABC National.
Yes.
So anyway, 5 very prestigious awards and recognitions that the chapter received as well.
Well, congratulations to you as our fearless leader, and for great acknowledgement on a national level for everything that this organization does.
And to you as well.
Thank
you. Towards those end, you might see right in front of me, to my right, I guess, our 2024 year in success. So it kind of summarizes the various things at the chapter level last year. You should have received them as an ABC member, mailed to you already. If you haven't, we welcome you to email us at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. You email us there, we'll be sure to reply to you with a digital copy of this. So,
And if you want us to mail you a physical copy, just give us your address. We'll get it to you.
So if you have never gone to one of these conferences, we welcome you. We also have another one coming up, which is in Washington, D.C. Each of these 3 annual conventions have a different feel to them. Obviously, the one in D.C. is more government affairs oriented and political, and you never know who might show up. Sometimes we get some really nice surprise guests. You're with people from around the country that feel like you do for the most part, and we're lobbying our Congress for issues important to the industry. So we welcome you to that conference coming up as well.
And if you do want to go to the one, you missed the one in Vegas, but the next one is in Salt Lake City in 2026. So keep that on your calendar as well.
Come out and cheer our local student chapters and our craft competitors right here from our very own program that I'm certain we'll have competing next year as well. So,
well, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We appreciate you listening and honoring us with your time. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next week. If you have any comments, shoot us an email at theobvious@abceastflorida.com.
Thank you. Ciao.